It's no secret that your first MBA exams are some of the most important exams you write in medical school because these are the exams that will take you from preclinicals to clinicals. Usually, a lot of students have exam tension because of the large amount of material they still have to study and fear of failure. But in this video, I'm going to be telling you guys some strategies that worked for me while I was preparing for my first MBA, some study techniques that you can use, and some resources that you can use as well. So if that's what you're interested in, then keep on watching this video. If you are new to my channel, hi, my name is Monijesu and I'm a fifth year medical student in Nigeria. I post medicine and lifestyle content here on my channel, so if that's something that you're interested in, then don't hesitate to subscribe to my channel. First MBA exams are the exams you write in 300 level, and they are the exams that take you to 400 level, which are your clinical years. They are comprised of three different sections. You have the written exams, you have the Stipechase, and the Viviver. So first things first, I'm going to be talking about your written exams and how to prepare for those. So my first tip for preparing for these examinations would be to have a positive mindset. So in this period, I know that a lot of people are probably looking at the amount of material that they have to study, and because of that, there's so much fear and anxiety. But something you have to remember is that this phase you are in, someone has been through it and someone has passed it and passed it well. If other people have passed through the same stage you are in and they have done well, you too can pass through this stage and you can do very well. The state of your mind that will keep you going despite the challenges you might be facing, despite the difficulties you might come across. But if you have a positive mindset and if you believe in yourself that you are capable of going through this level, if you believe that you are capable of passing your exams, that is where your success starts from. Next tip would be have an effective and realistic study plan. Having a study plan is very essential because it gives you clarity on what exactly you have to study. It gives you clarity on what you have studied and what you are yet to study. It also helps you to see the topics you should give more time and attention to. There is no way you are going in to prepare for first MB that will take you to your clinical years and you are being lackadaisical about having a study plan. Another thing I want to emphasize on is the fact that your study plan has to be realistic. So let's say in the whole day you have about 12 to 14 hours to study. Giving yourself an amount of topics that you want to study, knowing fully well your own capacity. So let's say you know that you can't do more than a certain amount of topics per day, and you are putting about 6 to 7 physiology topics that you want to cover in that very day. You have to be realistic. Is it feasible? Is it possible for you to go through those topics that day and actually remember what you studied? Because in this period in time, it's not just about who is first to finish. It's not about rushing each of the topics so that you can say, oh, I've checked this topic off my list, I've checked this one off of my list because I've studied it. But it's very important to have a realistic study plan that you are not just studying, but you are actually making progress in your study and you actually remember what you are studying. Whilst you are studying, remember that it is not a race. I'm not competing with someone to finish studying something, but I'm trying to just work on myself, work at my own pace, make sure that I understand what I'm reading and I also recall what I'm reading because it's very important for these exams. So first things first, draft out a list of all of the topics that you have for each of your courses. I remember this was one of the first things that I did at the end of the semester before I went home and started studying. I sat down in school and I wrote down every single topic that I had for each of my courses from anatomy to physiology to biochemistry because like I said, it gives you clarity on what you are supposed to study so that you don't miss out on anything. My next tip would be whilst you are studying, study intentionally. So, what I mean by studying intentionally is know your strengths and your weaknesses. So, knowing which topics I understand very well, which ones I don't understand very well, so that you can also take time to kind of study the ones you don't have a good grasp on, so that you can get the knowledge well and you can also recall those things because these are very, very important. Once you have a good grasp on what comes easy for you and what doesn't, it's now time to channel your energy into trying to understand those ones which you don't really know. Watch YouTube videos on them, meet a friend, meet your lecturer, or meet someone that you can kind of discuss it and can explain it to you very, very well. Take time to grasp or take time to get a hand on the topics you don't know very well, so that once you are getting closer to the exams, you're not trying to study something afresh, you're just trying to recall. So, my next tip would be always allocate time to recall. Always allocate time to recall. It's no news to any medical student that the best and most effective method of studying is active recall and spaced repetition. Every day, make sure to allocate some time to recall a certain amount of topics. Recalling is just as important as acquiring knowledge. Some of the best ways I think you can apply active recall and spaced repetition: past questions. So I would suggest that you get past questions from the year before yours and 5 to 6 years prior. Answering past questions continually, it helps you to kind of recall the information that you've studied. So if you've been studying for a really long time and you kind of take past questions and you've probably thought that you knew the topic very well, so you saw the question framed in a certain kind of way. So you're not completely sure if you know something, if you can answer a question on the topic, which is why PQs are gold. Another tip for how you can do active recall and spaced repetition would be to kind of make your own questions as you study. So let's say you studied a specific topic in physiology, right? As you study the topic, write out questions, maybe probable questions or just questions that will help you to be able to recall what you've read. Writing down questions while you study so you can go over those questions again. You can go over those questions immediately after you've studied. You can go over them 3 to 5 days after, or 10 days after, or a week after. But giving yourself those gaps so you can carry out spaced repetition is very helpful, because one, it helps to solidify the information you are getting, helps you to be able to recall the topic over and over and over again. My next tip for when you are studying for your exams would be to study patterns in your past questions. Study the patterns in which questions are being asked. So what I mean is, for example, we have anatomy, right? If you notice that for upper limb and lower limb, they normally ask maybe some specific landmarks, specific events that take place in the upper limb and lower limb, then you can study around that line. So my next tip that I have might sound a bit controversial, but hear me out. Whilst you are studying past questions, don't depend on past questions. I personally have had an experience with this. When I was writing my own MB, my first MB in 300 level, right? For anatomy, I just already had it in mind that for some reason past questions will not come out. Now, I personally had studied past questions, which was good for me, but I made sure that I left no stone unturned. I made sure that I was as prepared as I could have been. When I tell you that we saw theory questions in anatomy and we were shocked, the pattern completely changed. The pattern was completely different from what they had been asking like every single year. I passed my anatomy, thankfully. This is an example of what I'm talking about. Past questions are good though, they are amazing. Study any past question that comes your way, but don't depend on them, because past questions again are a guide. My next tip would be to attend your revision classes. So revision classes, well, for obvious reasons, they are helpful because your lecturers will kind of discuss with you what to expect for examinations. They might even give you like area of concentrations. So if you have lecturers that give you area of concentrations and they stick to their area of concentrations, please go for their revision classes, because you can also ask your lecturers what format questions will be asked and what format you should be answering questions. It's one thing to have the knowledge of the answer, and it's another thing to know how to answer it in the examination. For the next part of the video, I'm going to be talking about how you can prepare for your steeplechase. Stipechase is a section of your exams where you'll be asked questions in different stations, right? So each station is about 10 seconds, depending on your school. Mine was 10 seconds. Some schools apparently do 1 minute per station. Each station has a certain amount of time for them. And let's say for your anatomy, there'll be things like bones, muscles will be tagged, certain structures on cadavers will be tagged, and you'll be asked questions on them. So let's say for the upper limb, they could bring the humerus and they could tag a specific place on the humerus, say what part is this, or what muscle attaches to this part, or what activity occurs there. So that's just to kind of give you an idea of what steeplechase is like. So steeplechase is the practical part of the examination, basically. Honestly, if you can pass your steeplechase, you feel like that will skyrocket your marks. It will definitely boost your marks and increase your chances of passing your MB exams. Like I said, study the way questions are asked in your school and just use what I'm saying to kind of guide you. They could tag a specific groove on the bone. Oh my god, that's so important. Like learning each and every part of the bones, even to the tiniest grooves and what attaches to them. It is so important. For studying for anatomy steeplechase, the textbook I would recommend is using Charis. It has the pictures of those structures, it does have the muscular attachments and their innervations, and it also has things like ossification when it comes to bones. So knowing the organs as well. So organs in the abdomen, knowing their structures, where they are found and what parts, their anatomical landmarks as well. For physiology steeplechase, look at your school, how does your school ask questions and prepare along that line. Anything that will be asked in your exams are things that you've been shown already. So they're not going to go outside of your school and get new fresh bones to quiz you guys on. Whatever you'll be asked on is things you've seen. It's very important that whilst you prepare for your steeplechase, you have to get those things, you have to get those bones. In the case of the muscles, go with a couple of friends to your cadaver lab and learn the muscles, learn the innervations, discuss those things with people, or you can go by yourself if you want to. Know the cadavers very well so that when you are asked in the exams, you are familiar with them because you've already gone over them again and again. So for histology steeplechase, like I was saying, the slides you've been shown in class again and again, go over those slides, go to your histology lab, put the slides and study them, study each of the structures as well, know how they ask questions so that you'll be able to prepare along that line. The last and final section of this video, we're going to be talking about Viviver. Viviver is the section of your exam where you are in front of your examiner. You'll most likely be in front of an external examiner and you'll be asked questions on what you've been taught, basically. So questions can come from anywhere in anatomy, in physiology, or biochemistry. Viviver is two things: residual knowledge and just God, because you honestly can't predict what your examiner is going to ask you. So everything you've been reading and accumulating in your brain for this examination is what you're going to dish out for your examiner when they ask you a question. My last and final tip for these examinations, which is also kind of controversial, would be to rest. Make time to rest. So again, using myself as an example, I think it was, I don't know how many weeks it was towards my exams, but I remember I took one full day where I did not read at all. I didn't study, I didn't open book. All I did was just sleep, wake up, eat, and watch movies that day. I started studying very early, which was why I was able to give myself that time to rest. Making time to rest and also make sure that you start early preparing for your exams. Leave no stone unturned. All of this exam prep, it's very important to ask God for help and ask God for guidance. I literally said that I don't know why. I just had this knowing that for anatomy, PQs were not going to come out. I don't know where that knowing came from, but it just came. Again, ask God for strength and guidance, because at the end of the day, God is the ultimate. Like, there are literally some things that you can't control. So literally giving these things you can't control to the one who can control everything is very vital. Holding God throughout your journey and letting Him guide you and lead you, guide your studying, direct you what to study and where to focus on is also important. I hope that with these few points of mine, I've been able to convince you that it is very possible to pass your first MB exams. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it and if you found it helpful in any way, please do not forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. If you know anybody who is preparing for MB exams very soon, please share this video to them. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in another video.